Have you ever wondered why it feels like the moment you start growing, everything and everyone around you begins to disappear? It's like the more serious you get about your purpose, the quieter life becomes. Friends stop calling. Doors stop opening. People who once cheered you on suddenly fall silent. It's confusing. It's painful. You look around and ask yourself, did I do something wrong? Why does this season feel so empty? Deep down, you know you're being pulled into something bigger, but you can't ignore the ache of being unseen, unheard, and unknown. You start questioning everything, your choices, your value, even your faith. And the hardest part, that still nagging voice inside that whispers, and maybe I've been forgotten. But what if that silence isn't punishment? What if it's not rejection, but redirection? What if the season of isolation is not a sign that God has turned his face away, but a sign that he's drawing you closer? What if this is not the end, but the beginning of something sacred? When life grows quiet, it's easy to panic. We're wired for connection, for affirmation. And when that disappears, we feel like we're failing. But isolation isn't always about what you're losing. It's often about what you're being prepared to carry. Sometimes the silence isn't empty. It's full of instruction, full of transformation. It's the space where old patterns die and new strength is born. This is where your character is refined. This is where your roots grow deep, even when there's no fruit in sight. God doesn't bury you to forget you. He buries you to grow you. Just like a seed disappears underground before it ever breaks the surface, you may feel hidden right now, but you are not lost. You are being formed in the dark, shaped by pressure, prepared in private for something that will eventually be seen in public. There's a purpose behind this pause. There's meaning in the quiet. What feels like isolation is often divine incubation. It's not your breakdown, it's your setup. You don't need to fear this season. You need to lean into it. Because when everything else is stripped away, you begin to hear the one voice that truly matters. You stop chasing applause, you stop performing, and you start becoming. This is where the real you is revealed. The version of you that doesn't need validation to move, doesn't need a crowd to believe, doesn't need comfort to obey. If you stay with this message, you're going to find strength you didn't know you had. You're going to see purpose where you once only saw pain, and you're going to realize that this season you're in is not a dead end. It's a divine beginning. Something powerful is forming in your life. Don't walk away now. Keep watching. Because what feels like isolation might be the clearest sign yet that God is about to bless you in a way that only He can. What if the silence you're hearing isn't God's absence, but His voice, finally clear enough to be heard? We spend so much of our lives surrounded by noise, expectations, distractions, opinions, the pressure to perform, to please, to prove ourselves worthy. In all of that, it becomes easy to miss the most important conversation of our lives, the one between us and God. So when He allows everything else to fall away, it can feel like punishment. But it's often the only way He can finally get our full attention. Because the truth is, He's always been speaking. We just couldn't hear Him over the noise. When the world grows quiet and the usual comforts disappear, that's when something sacred happens. Stillness becomes a sanctuary. It happens a sanctuary. The silence becomes a mirror. You begin to notice things you once ignored, patterns, fears, insecurities, and awareness is painful. What feels like being alone is actually God pulling you into deeper intimacy. He doesn't want your performance. He wants your presence, your honesty, your heart uncovered and real. This season is not about distance. It's about closeness. It's about intimacy without distraction, depth without distortion. He removes what's unnecessary so you can discover what's essential. You begin to hear His guidance not as thunder, but as a whisper. You start feeling peace not in comfort, but in clarity. You realize that the voice you were waiting for has been waiting on you, waiting for you to slow down, to get quiet, to come away from the noise and just be still. That stillness can feel terrifying, but it's also where your faith grows roots. Not in the moments where everything makes sense, but in the spaces where nothing does and you choose to trust anyway. That's real faith. That's spiritual strength. Not the kind that moves mountains in public, but the kind that survives the night in private. That's what's forming in you now. Not a momentary high, but unshakable depth. God is not hiding from you. He's hiding you, because what He's building in you is sacred. And sacred things don't grow in the spotlight. They grow in secret, in silence, in solitude, not to diminish you, but to develop you. Because when the time is right, when your heart is ready and your spirit is steady, He will reveal you, not as who you used to be, but as who you were always meant to become. Stay with this moment. Let the quiet do its work this year. There's breakthrough in this stillness. And if you keep listening, not with your ears, but with your spirit, you'll begin to understand that this is not just a season of isolation. It's a divine encounter. One that is leading you closer to God, closer to yourself, and closer to the breakthrough that's been waiting on the other side of your surrender. You were never meant to stay where you started. That restlessness you feel isn't weakness. It's a signal, a divine discomfort meant to stir something deeper in you. There's a reason comfort fades when your calling starts to rise. Growth will always require separation. It will always require surrender. And often the first thing God separates you from is familiarity. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because you cannot walk into a new season carrying the mindset of the old one. Isolation is the sacred space where the shift begins. It's in this place of hiddenness that your identity is tested. Not the version you show the world, but the version you've avoided. The one who's unsure, afraid, and still figuring things out. Here, there's nowhere to hide, no roles to play, no distractions to lean on. Just you and the weight of who you're becoming. And this is where transformation begins. Not in crowds, but in quiet decisions. Not in applause, but in alignment. You don't become who you're called to be by staying where it's comfortable. You become by stepping into the unknown, stripped of the old, surrendered to the new. There is a divine pattern in the way elevation always follows separation. The higher you're called to go, the deeper you must first be rooted. And roots grow in silence. They don't chase visibility. They dig into stability. So while the world measures progress by what's seen, God develops purpose in what's unseen. He's building strength in your silence. He's stretching your capacity where no one else can see. This is not the season to be visible. This is the season to be unshakable. You may feel forgotten, but you're actually being focused. You may feel delayed, but you're actually being developed. And the work God is doing in you right now is so significant, He had to pull you away just to protect it. Because not everyone can understand the process. Not everyone can handle the version of you that's emerging. Some were only assigned to your past. And if they stayed too long, they'd start confusing your growth with your rebellion. So God removed them, not to isolate you, but to insulate you. There is power in being hidden. There is healing in being still, because in this quiet place, you're not just being reshaped, you're being reintroduced to your worth, to your vision, to your calling. It's no longer about proving yourself to others. It's about aligning with the truth of who you are without them. This season may feel lonely, but it's not empty. It's full of purpose, full of preparation, full of the kind of transformation that cannot be rushed. You're not being held back. You're being held together. And soon, what's been forming in silence will speak louder than anything you've ever had to explain. Stay the course. Trust the process. The blessing is coming, and when it arrives, you'll understand why the isolation was necessary for the elevation. Some blessings are so heavy, they require strength you haven't built yet. Not because you're unworthy of them, but because you're not ready to carry them. And God loves you too much to hand you something that will break you before it blesses you. That's why you're in the place you are right now, not to be punished, but to be prepared. You're not behind, you're being built. In silence, in solitude, in spaces that feel invisible. Because the process of becoming always happens before the season of revealing. What's happening around you may not make sense, but what's happening within you is divine. This pressure you feel, it's not random, it's not cruel, it's necessary. You asked for more, you prayed for greater. Greater. But before God adds, He aligns. And alignment always requires removal. The people, patterns, and habits that once fit in your life no longer match where you're going. So He strips them away, not to leave you empty, but to make room for the weight of what's next. And yes, that empty space hurts. But pain often accompanies preparation. It's not a sign something's wrong. It's proof that something real is being rebuilt. You don't grow by holding on. You grow by letting go of what was, of who you were, of everything that no longer serves your purpose. And it's in that letting go that your hands become free enough to receive. But the human mind resists change. It clings to the familiar, even when that familiarity is toxic, even when it keeps you stuck. That's why this isolation feels like death to your comfort. It is. And yet, it's giving birth to your transformation. Because only when comfort dies can courage be born. The silence has a purpose. It exposes the noise you once mistook for direction. It strips away the lies you believed about your worth. It interrupts the patterns that kept you small. You're not falling apart, you're being unraveled, so you can be rewoven with truth, with clarity, with conviction. This version of you, the one being refined in fire, in stillness, in secrecy, it's stronger than anything that ever tried to break. And soon you'll see why this process had to feel this intense. Because shallow preparation cannot support a deep calling. The world teaches us to chase speed, but God works in depth. He's not interested in how fast you rise. He's focused on how strong you stand. And strength doesn't come from applause. It comes from resistance, from persistence, from staying faithful when everything inside you wants to quit. This is the soil of greatness. This is where legacy is born, not in what you build, but in who you become. Keep going, keep trusting. Keep going, keep trusting. You're not being held back. You're being held in place, so you don't miss the foundation He's laying under your feet. And when He lifts you, it won't be temporary. It will be unshakable. Because it was built in silence, anchored in truth, and born from the courage to stay when everything said leave. There's a reason certain people couldn't stay, a reason connections faded, conversations stopped, and the support you once counted on quietly disappeared. You didn't do anything wrong. You simply outgrew what was meant for a former version of you. Growth demands space, and sometimes the only way God can give you that space is by removing those who were never assigned to your future. Their absence may feel like rejection, but it's protection in disguise. Not everyone has the capacity to carry your calling, and some voices are too small to speak into the destiny God is forming in you. You prayed for elevation. You asked to be used, but that kind of purpose cannot grow in crowded, noisy places where everyone has access to your heart. So God clears the room, not to isolate you in pain, but to insulate you in preparation. You're not being abandoned, you're being set apart. The deeper the calling, the quieter the season. Because what's about to be built through you is not ordinary, it's not common. And it cannot be surrounded by voices that feed doubt, pride, or distraction. There's a shift happening inside you. You can feel it. Old conversations don't feed you anymore. Familiar places feel foreign. You don't laugh the same, talk the same, or even dream the same. That's not confusion. That's transformation. You're shedding what's safe so you can step into what's sacred. And sacred things don't need an audience to grow. They need surrender, silence, separation. Because it's in the hidden place that your discernment sharpens, your spirit strengthens, and your heart becomes grounded in what truly matters. This process will test your loyalty, not to others, but to yourself. Can you still believe in your assignment when no one is clapping? Oh, well. Can you still trust the path when you have to walk it alone? Can you stay committed when connection costs you comfort? These are the questions that shape warriors, not wanderers. Because elevation comes with responsibility, and responsibility demands clarity. You cannot bring confusion into a season of calling. And that's why God removes the noise before He reveals the next step. Letting go hurts, but holding on to what no longer fits will hurt you more. It's okay to mourn who you had to walk away from. It's okay to feel the sting of detachment. But don't confuse temporary discomfort with permanent defeat. You are not being emptied to stay empty. You are being emptied to be filled with something greater. God doesn't subtract without the intention to multiply. But He won't multiply until your surroundings match the strength of what He's giving you. Trust the release, trust the silence, trust that everything leaving your life is making room for something aligned, something divine, something sustainable. You are not being left behind. You are being moved ahead quietly, powerfully, and with purpose. And soon you'll look back and understand why the exit was necessary for your entrance into the life God designed just for you. There's nothing weak about the pain you feel. The ache in your chest, the questions that won't go away, the pressure that doesn't seem to lift, and none of it means you're failing. It means you're growing. It means you're growing. The weight you carry right now is not punishment, it's process. And growth, real growth, will stretch you in ways that make you question your strength. But strength isn't the absence of struggle. It's what you choose to do in the middle of it. The discomfort you're feeling is the tension between who you were and who you're becoming. And transformation is never painless. This season is stripping you. It's exposing every hidden place that comfort used to cover. It's forcing you to confront yourself, your doubts, your wounds, your fears. But that's where true power lives, not in avoiding the pain, but in facing it. Growth demands honesty, and honesty demands courage. If you've been crying, shaking, breaking, don't apologize for that. It's part of the refining. You are being shaped by fire, not to destroy you, but to burn away everything that was never really you. You asked to be used. You asked for purpose. You asked for clarity, but all of that comes through surrender, not just once, but daily. You don't get to skip the pain and still receive the promise. The pain is the bridge, and the more it stretches you, the more capacity it creates inside of you. Every tear, every lonely night, every silent battle, it's building something eternal. It's carving out the kind of depth that can't be shaken by opinions or setbacks. You're not losing your mind, you're losing your limits. What you're walking through is sacred. You may not see it yet, but everything you're enduring is unlocking something deeper. It's unearthing a strength you didn't know you had. And though it may feel like nothing is changing, the truth is you are. Quietly, deeply, permanently. And that change is the real breakthrough. Because when you change, your whole world begins to respond differently. The situations that used to break you can no longer touch you. The fears that once controlled you lose their grip. The doubt that used to paralyze you begins to dissolve under the weight of your new identity. This is not just a hard season. This is holy ground. A place where your soul is being redefined. A place where God is not rushing, because rushed things don't last. You are not being delayed. You are being developed. So when the door opens, you'll walk through it with strength, clarity, and the authority of someone who has become. This pain has purpose. This stretching has strategy. And even if it doesn't feel like it now, your future is being forged in the fire you're walking through today. Don't pull back. Don't give up. What's forming in you now is stronger than anything that ever tried to break you. Stay with it. The version of you that's emerging will thank you for not quitting. You are not lost. You are being led. Even when the path looks unfamiliar, even when your prayers seem unanswered, even when everything feels unclear, God is still guiding you. Confusion is not the absence of purpose. It's the space where your trust is tested. And trust, real trust, is not built when everything makes sense. It's built when nothing does and you choose to believe anyway. That is where faith comes alive, not when you're certain, but when you're certain, but when you're surrendered. Not when the map is clear, but when your heart says yes to a path your eyes can't yet see. This feeling of being stuck is not a sign of failure. It's a signal that something inside you is shifting. What used to fulfill you no longer does. What once gave you peace now stirs restlessness. Restlessness. You're not broken. You're awakening. Your spirit knows there's more. And sometimes God will allow the discomfort to grow until it becomes impossible to ignore. He's not punishing you with confusion. He's calling you through. The next step doesn't reveal itself until you take it, even when you don't understand, even when it's terrifying. You don't need to have all the answers to keep moving forward. You just need to trust the one who does. That small voice inside, the one that whispers a keep going, is the sound of heaven reminding you that you are still on course. You may feel like you've taken a wrong turn. You may think you've missed your moment. But God's timing is never late, and his path is never wasted. He's not just leading you to a destination. He's preparing you to be able to stand when you get there. That's why the process feels so intense, because what's coming is too important to be built on uncertainty. If you feel like you're wandering, know this: the wilderness is not the end. It's a classroom, a place where distractions fall away, where your identity is confronted, and where your character is forged. This is where you learn to stop depending on what's around you and start drawing from what's within you. That strength you're looking for, it's already there. But it only activates under pressure. You don't need to find the way. You need to become the person who's ready when the way reveals itself. Stay faithful in the fog. Keep showing up when nothing makes sense. They've all been rewired in the quiet. You no longer crave noise. You've learned to hear in silence. That's growth. That's preparation. The blessing you've been waiting for is not just about arrival. It's about alignment. When the right time meets the right you, nothing can stop it. Not delay. Not opposition. Not the opinions of others, but the right you had to be formed. And formation takes time. That's why the season has felt longer than expected. Not because you're behind, but because God is building something solid, something unshakable. You don't just need open doors. You need the wisdom to walk through them. You don't just need opportunity, you need character that can sustain it. That's what's been developing while you felt forgotten. Every part of you that was too tied to validation is being severed. Every part of you that depended on people to affirm your worth is being healed. You no longer need constant reassurance. You no longer live in fear of being misunderstood. That's the power of isolation. It teaches you how to be whole without applause. It teaches you how to walk forward without handholding. And it prepares you for the moment when God says, "And now," because that moment is coming. It won't be loud, it won't be dramatic, but you'll feel it, a shift, a relief, a sense that the weight you've been carrying is no longer crushing you. It's lifting you because you've been faithful, because you've stayed, because you didn't let the silence convince you to stop. You kept moving, and that obedience has created momentum even in places you couldn't see. This is not your breakdown. This is your buildup. You've been rooted deep, and now the fruit is near. You've been trained in the dark, and now the light is coming. Not because of luck, not because of timing, but because you aligned. You surrendered, you trusted, you became. And when you become, you don't chase the blessing. The blessing finds you. Stand still, not in fear, but in confidence. Your steps are ordered. Your silence was sacred. And your blessing is not just possible, it's inevitable. Keep your heart open. Keep your posture surrendered. Up. You're closer than you feel, stronger than you know, and more ready than you've ever been. What's coming will not just change your circumstances, it will reveal why every moment of isolation was part of your divine transformation. The silence didn't break you, it birthed you. And now your season is shifting. There's a quiet power in waiting that most never understand. Waiting is not passive. It is not simply doing nothing. Waiting is active. It's the soil where faith takes root and grows deep. It's where your spirit is trained to lean not on what's seen, but on what's promised. The moments when you feel like time has stopped are the very moments where your soul is being prepared to move faster, stronger, and more sure than ever before. The silence is working inside you, crafting endurance, patience, and wisdom, qualities that no rush could ever produce. You may be desperate for a sign, a clear answer, or a sudden breakthrough, but those come only after the inner work is complete. This time alone is your crucible, and it's reshaping you into someone who won't just receive a blessing, but someone who can steward it well. You are learning to carry more without breaking, to hope without hesitation, and to love without limits. That kind of transformation happens far away from the noise, distractions, and approval of the world. It happens in the stillness where your heart is no longer influenced by what's around you, but anchored in what's within you. There's a subtle strength growing in your soul, a power that whispers, "I am enough." It's a freedom from needing constant validation, from fearing rejection, from doubting your worth. You're being rewired to operate from peace, not panic, from clarity, not confusion, from purpose, not pressure. That's the secret of this season. It's training you to be steady when everything else feels unsteady. And steadiness is the foundation of greatness. Without it, blessings can become burdens. But with it, blessings become legacies. Your future is already responding to your faithfulness today. Even when you don't see the changes yet, the unseen is at work. What feels like delay is really divine timing, aligning every detail so when your blessing arrives, it fits perfectly into the new you. Nothing will be wasted. Every tear, every lonely hour, every quiet surrender has been building a momentum that will soon break through the surface and flood your life with favor and purpose. It's easy to feel forgotten, but remember, isolation doesn't mean abandonment. You're being hidden until the right moment to reveal your strength. You are being protected until the right opportunity to display your courage. You are being cultivated until the right time to harvest your blessings. The season is shaping your character, deepening your faith, and strengthening your vision. And vision without action is just a dream. That's why your persistence in this quiet place matters so much. It's preparing you to act when the moment comes, to step forward with confidence and clarity. They are God's way of refining you so that when the doors open, you won't just walk through, you'll soar. The blessings waiting for you are not just rewards for what you've done. They are confirmations of who you have become. Keep standing firm in the quiet because your season of isolation is not a sentence. It's a signal. It's proof that God is preparing to bless you beyond what you can imagine. There is an unseen force working relentlessly in your life, even when the world feels silent around you. The moments that feel like waiting are the moments your character is being tested and your faith is being deepened. This is the hidden work, often invisible, but always powerful, that shapes you for the breakthrough ahead. Your heart is being stretched to hold more hope, more trust, and more courage than ever before. That tension you feel inside is not a sign that you are failing. It is the unmistakable sign that you are being prepared for something greater than your current circumstances. Bethan, your isolation is not a punishment, but a promise. It is the space where your soul is being purified. The old doubts and fears are being stripped away, so you can step into your true power. The spiritual muscle you are building now will carry you through every challenge that lies ahead. You are learning to be content in the quiet because the quiet is teaching you how to listen deeply to your inner voice, to your purpose, and to the divine wisdom that guides you even when you cannot see the way clearly. In this sacred pause, your vision is expanding beyond what your eyes can see. You are beginning to understand that blessings are not just about material gains or external success. True blessings are about transformation, about becoming the person who can handle the weight of success with grace, wisdom, and humility. This is why the process is so demanding. You are being formed into a vessel that can contain not just abundance, but significance. There will be moments when you question if the weight is worth it, when the silence feels deafening, when the loneliness feels unbearable. In those moments, remember that the darkest night is always right before the dawn. The pressure you feel is the pressure of change, an invisible force molding you into your highest self. It is breaking down what no longer serves you and building up what will carry you forward. This is the work of divine timing. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is accidental. As you stand in this place, hold fast to the truth that your season of isolation is a signal, not a setback. It is an invitation to deepen your trust and to strengthen your resolve. The blessings waiting for you are not just rewards. They are confirmations that you have been faithful in the unseen, that you have endured the refining fire, and that you are ready to step into your destiny with confidence and purpose. Your breakthrough is on the horizon. It may not come with a fanfare or an announcement. It will come as a quiet shift, a deep knowing, a sudden peace that surpasses all understanding. When it arrives, you will recognize it because you have been shaped to receive it. You will stand taller, move with more clarity, and walk with a purpose that cannot be shaken. Your season of isolation was not your end, it was your beginning. This is your moment to rise. You have endured seasons that tested every ounce of your strength. You have faced moments that tried to convince you to give up. But what you may not realize is that these trials are not the end. They are the proving ground for your greatest breakthrough. This period of isolation, with all its quiet heaviness, is working in ways you cannot yet measure. It's sculpting your mind, heart, and spirit to hold more than you ever thought possible. It's teaching you that blessings are not merely handed out. They are earned through resilience, faith, and unwavering commitment to growth. The pressure you feel is a sign of transformation. Just as gold is refined through fire, your spirit is being purified through challenge. This process is uncomfortable because it demands that you release control, surrender your timeline, and embrace the unknown. Yet within this surrender lies the paradox of power, the power to become who you were meant to be. When you learn to find peace in the waiting, you unlock a strength that no external circumstance can shake. This strength is not visible, but it is undeniable. It's the foundation upon which your future will stand. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You don't need a clear path to move forward. What you need is to keep your heart open to the possibility that something extraordinary is unfolding beneath the surface. The loneliness you feel is not abandonment, it's alignment. Your soul is being calibrated to receive the blessings that are coming. The silence is not emptiness, it is preparation. The pause is not defeat. It is a divine setup for victory. Understand this, your breakthrough will not come because the world has changed. It will come because you have changed. The person who emerges from this season will carry wisdom, patience, and resilience that only such a season could produce. You are being equipped not just to receive blessings, but to steward them with grace and strength. This is what separates those who simply get lucky from those who are truly blessed. Every tear you have shed, every night you have spent in doubt, every moment you felt unseen, none of it is wasted. It is all part of your training. The skills you have honed in solitude, faith, perseverance, humility will become the wings that lift you into your next season. When the moment arrives, you will not be caught off guard. You will be ready because your character has been forged in the quiet. Keep standing firm. Keep believing when it feels like no one else does. Keep nurturing the faith that insists there is more for you. Your season of isolation is not a prison, it is a cocoon. And from this place, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and ready to soar. What you have endured has prepared you to receive blessings beyond your wildest dreams. Hold fast. Your time is coming. Your blessing is near.